who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing. This is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Wow, welcome.
What was that? A little enthusiasm, Fenton.
It's a rainy day here in LA. You know, Hollywood Boulevard is backed up. You can see it on our Hollywood Boulevard adjacent studio. It's just like the Today Show here, or Good Morning America, one of those breakfast shows.
Just like it.
Just like it. I'm Fender Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, here with Tom Campbell, our creative inspiration, really.
Well, good morning,
Genius.
America.
Yeah.
Good morning, America.
Twisted mind behind RuPaul's Drag Race, and of course, James St. James.
A bearded James St. James.
You are a little
I
shaggy.
know. I'm a little shaggy. I'm looking like an old Gandalf. I've got sort of a wizard beard happening.
And I hear you're still sick, still vomiting.
Still vomiting.
So
It
anything
just
can
never
happen.
ends. Yes.
And Blake is out this week, but we have the amazing Chelsea to chivvy us along.
Yay, Chelsea.
She's also sick, so it's going to be it's going to be a wading
everyone.
pool of vomit and excretia.
Woo! Here we go. And starting with Roseanne.
Counting down, of course, I just say it, the top 10 things that make us go,
Wow!
No question, right, Tom? Number
Could there
10.
be anything
Right.
else?
Number 10.
Got to start talking about Roseanne. Woke up earlier this week to that tweet. My mind raced thinking how,
So you follow her on Twitter?
No, it was on every post
I
on
do
everything
follow her. I
on
did, and
Facebook.
I quit after yesterday.
Good.
Yeah.
I went to college with Ben Sherwood, who's the president or the CEO of ABC, and so I don't know him well, but I know him. And I'm thinking like I know people. This is before she was the kids of the show. I know people who are putting up with this, and you just feel like you're in the upside down world with the Trump and the tweets and the racism.
Right.
And by the time I got to work and got out of my car, Roseanne, the show had been canceled.
Well, thank God, too. We really did. We've talked about this before where there was no reason to have it on the air. It was a nice bit of nostalgia for one episode, but that's all we really needed.
I will say I'm torn because confession, watched every episode of the
Are
new
you
Roseanne
kidding?
reboot.
Oh, I
No,
thought we
because
all decided that we wouldn't do that.
Everything I say to you and on the air is
Is
a
a
lie.
Yeah. It's very
It's upside
in.
down. No, but I think I DVR'd it for the first episodes we talked about on the show, and then it just kept popping up in a little half hour of sitcom, and it was
But
smartly
you-
written,
but
and the
you
cast is
are-
amazing.
But you are supporting,
I get it, and it's like ordering pizza at 11. I just like to do things that are bad sometimes. But I'm saying it wasn't a bad show. It's about Roseanne.
the people, the woman behind it, we
Yes.
don't want to support. We don't want to give the oxygen to Trump supporters.
Yes, and somebody, I think in the Hollywood Reporter, they were just saying it's that the fable of the frog and the
we
scorpion.
knew what you were when we
Isn't that what Matt Damon says about Harvey Weinstein?
I suppose so.
It's
yes.
just what the scorpion does, right?
And just
The
to explain,
frog-
it's like the scorpion
Yes.
wants to get across the river. It begs the frog to let ride on its back.
Frog says no.
Frog says, no, you're just going to kill me. You're just going to bite me and kill me. And the scorpion goes, no, I promise you I won't. And the scorpion gets in the frog's back, and halfway across the river, the scorpion bites the frog. He goes, why? He goes, it's kind of in my nature.
You knew what I was when you let me on your back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and we knew what Roseanne was.
Yeah.
She's been tweeting racist shit for years now.
Well, exactly. It's not so much that she's a Trump supporter. It's like she's an
a-
out and out, because I think there are some Trumps. I mean, God knows who they are, but there are some Trump supporters who aren't racist.
We
It
should have
doesn't
canceled her ass
necessarily-
when she dressed as Hitler and took the burnt cookies out of the oven. Remember that?
Yeah.
We know
But there's a lot
it's
coming
disgusting.
at us. I think we try to have the benefit of the doubt, but
I don't give her the benefit of that. I've never given her the benefit.
But to that point, and again, I want to thank ABC for canceling the show. Think about that corporately. Think about
It's
what
the
it's
first
like.
time in history that a number
one show
has been canceled.
$90 million of revenue. Bye-bye.
And a whole bunch of people working on the show have now lost their jobs because of her.
I bet you they'll bring it back.
Well,
I think they'll just let a polite period elapse and then send it, because your
or is
point,
Fox
James,
gonna get it?
about the cookies, that is an unforgivable thing to do. And even though everybody knew that image, we all saw that image. Everyone's like, oh, it's
that
okay.
Trump grabbed him by the pussy and said that Mexicans were rapists, and
that's why Roseanne
that's the
will
world,
be back.
That's the world we live in.
If not
But
on ABC,
I don't know if
on
you noticed
ESPN
that
or
she's-
something.
I don't know if you noticed. She said she was going to get off Twitter. 3 hours later, she's back on again. I don't know if you woke up this morning and saw her
Yes.
tweet. But, and then she also blamed it on Ambien, and Jezebel said, had a headline saying, Roseanne blames a year's worth of racism on 2 nights of Ambien.
Somebody wrote, if your racism lasts more than 4 hours, consult a doctor.
Yeah.
Listen, here's a sad truth, and maybe this is going too deep, but it's like we work in Hollywood. We, in our own weird ways, compromise. You try to work within the system. There's that expression, I have no fucks left to give. I have some fucks left to give. And so you have to try to keep your sleep at night, keep your morals in a place, but you're interacting with corporations and money and power grabbers. Because I have to say, I got to witness Roseanne up close when I worked at HBO in the late 80s, early 90s. And she was insane then. Uncontrollable then, but she made millions and millions and billions of dollars. So I thought at the time, like, oh my God, I spent my whole life trying to become an adult, and this 5-year-old rules Hollywood. So
we have a 5-year-old ruling the country.
I know.
So, and I don't know who I think I am getting on my high horse when I've worked with Michael Laling for year after year. So I just cancel everything I just said.
No, not cancel, but it's a complicated world. And some people are kind of criticizing ABC for waiting this long, like all the proof was there.
Yeah.
But everyone hopes for the best. It's the frog and the scorpion. And here is Channing Dungey, who is the first African-American woman to run the entertainment division of a network. And people are also saying maybe it took that to finally find someone who would buck against these blatant racism.
Because it sort of looked like in the beginning it was just going to be Wanda that was going to step down, and then Sarah Gilbert was like, "Oh, I feel bad. This is terrible," but she didn't quit.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Tom. Roseanne, now airing on ABC.
No, not airing on ABC. Not airing on
Just
Viacom.
wanted to test you and
not
make sure
airing anywhere
that
ever.
you were listening.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Wait a minute. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Number 9, what have you got for us?
Well,
St. Tom.
It's me, James St. James.
Number 9.
You know how sometimes Netflix says to you, like, they think they know you so well, and they're like, we suggest you watch this, or because you watch this, you should watch that.
Right.
And then it's usually like some David Spade special, and you're like, you don't know shit about me.
You kind of secretly resent it.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Oh, totally.
Well, lately they've been telling me to watch these Japanese TV shows, these teen dramas from Japan, and I sort of fought it for a little bit, but then I started watching it, and I am hooked. I am obsessed.
Oh, wait. Are these in English? Are they subtitled?
They're
or
subtitled.
dubbed?
They're
or-
subtitled.
Okay.
God.
Okay, but the thing is they're batshit crazy. They follow no linear logic. Sometimes there's 2 episodes. Sometimes there's 8 episodes. Sometimes, like, halfway through, it turns into a completely different show. There's like a magic realism that's happening where anything can happen, and you just have to give up and go with it. Okay, I watched this one called Magic Phone. Okay, Magic Phone. Okay, and it's this little boy and this little girl, and they're playing on a playground, and he's got a little Superman cape on, and he's racing around, and he says, "I will always love you, Latte." Her name is Latte. And he says, "And I will always protect you." And there's a grandmother, and she says, "I want you to promise me you will always protect her. Always, always, always." And he says, "Okay." And then it's 15 years later, and he's working at a makeup store, and she's a very famous actress.
Okay, we're out of time.
No.
Moving on.
I'm telling you,
I'm
you're
impressed.
going to want to hear this. You're going to hear this. This is one of those beautiful stories you'll ever hear in your life. Okay, so he's working in a makeup store. She's a famous actress, and she comes in to do a signing, and she sort of recognizes him, she sort of doesn't. But then that night, he's walking across the bridge, and the ghost of the grandmother comes and gives him, she says, "Here is a magic phone. It's a magic cell phone, and whenever Latte is in trouble, you can save her with this phone, but you'll lose a little vitality every time you do. And then finally, you'll lose all your vitality, and she won't remember you." So then, that night, she has her manager is this really evil man, and he's trying to kill her. I don't know why, but he throws her off a building. He's like, if I'm going to throw you off a building, and it's going to look like suicide, and you're going to be the most famous actress in the world. And so,
Well, that sounds good strategy for a manager.
Exactly. Yes. So across the city, the phone rings, and he realizes that she's in danger, and he pushes a button, and a portal opens, and he's able to grab her while she's falling, and he pulls her to safety. Then later, the manager sells her into a sex slavery ring, and she's about
Another
to
good management strategy. Let's be honest, this manager's smart.
Yeah, make some money off of her.
Yeah.
And so a businessman is about to rape her in a hotel room, and the phone rings, and the guy pushes a button, and a magic bubble goes around her, and so the guy can't touch her or rape her. And so every time he does this, and he loses a little of his vitality, and he becomes a little more boring. And then at the very end, he goes through all these series of he saves her, and he saves her, and he saves her with the magic phone. And every time and he gets a little more boring. And finally, he dies in her arms. They get back together again, and they're in love. And he dies in her arms. And then the phone rings, and it saves him, but when he wakes up, she doesn't recognize him anymore, and he becomes her servant. And at the very last scene, he's opening the door for her of her car, and she says, "Thank you, servant." And he cries because she doesn't recognize him anymore. And that's the end of the show.
That's the plot to Sunset Boulevard.
But then there was all these other shows that I watched. There was one called Under a Dark Moon, and it was this boy, and he's in love with this girl, and then they're going to get married, and they're in class, but then the girl gets run over by a bus. And then the next week, then it's a year later, and he's in class, and the teacher says, "We have a new student," and the door opens, and it's the girl, but it's not really the girl. It's the girl who just looks like the girl, and her mother is a demon, and then they go to this country house, and all of a sudden the demon kills everyone, and they all die, and it's a big slasher film.
It sounds very good. It sounds like sort of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, which is also sort of makes no sense, really.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, did you say magical realism? What is that in a nutshell?
A magical realism is from South America. It's Louis, who's the big South American writer?
Louis.
Something,
Louis XIV. Louis Buñuel.
No.
Louis L'Amour.
The 100 Years of Solitude. This will all be cut right here.
No, it won't. Staying in. We just need a breather after that assault of plot.
Gabriel Garcia
Marquez, yes.
Oh, he wrote Kiss of the Spider Woman.
Yeah, okay, but
Maybe
he had a
not.
tendency to so all of a sudden, like someone would just come back from the dead, or something would happen, and you just have to accept it. They don't make a big deal out of it. It's just magical realism. It's just this is a part of the story, and we don't make a big deal out of the magic. It just is something that's there.
Do you remember any of the titles so we can search this? Or
Yes,
how do we
yes.
find it on Netflix?
Well, we're going to write a whole load about it on the WoW Report.
Okay.
Well,
So I have to read.
.net.
Okay.
Well,
There
with
was-
clips and things of that nature.
thank you.
There was Fierce Wife, which I watched. There's Magic Phone. There was Under a Blood Moon. There was like a Monster High or something like that.
But they're all on Netflix, right?
They're all on Netflix.
Yeah.
And once you do one, and I suggest you start with Magic Phone or Under a Dark Moon.
Well, I too, moving on, watched Netflix most of the holiday weekend.
Number 8.
Forgive me, Father, for I have binged. And I hate, I even feel a little nauseous talking about this, but I watched all 4 hours of Trump, An American Dream, which they say it's a Netflix original. This would suggest that Netflix made it. They didn't. It's Channel 4 UK, and it's absolutely horrifically, compellingly fascinating. I mean, weirdly, it goes very light on the scandals, and it really only charts him up until he announces his run for president.
Oh, so it's the
But
whole the New York years.
archive is amazing. And the thing is, because you just look into his eyes, and he's the exact same lizard thing he always was. Pitiless, emotionless. You can just see the evil lurking, waiting, hiding. Well, I was going to say hiding in plain sight. Really not even hiding. There is a fantastic clip. Rona Barrett, legendary gossip columnist turned TV presenter, she would do these interviews that, well, I actually thought it was like sitting by the bedside of someone who's dying. Very like solicitous and gentle, and actually kind of like what Barbara Walters went on to do. Just these sort of cooing, slightly, what is the word? Syrupy, obsequious. But she says to him, she actually did it was a series called Look at the Super Rich. And it was actually supposedly Donald Trump's first network interview, in which she presciently says, some say that the age of Trump is just beginning. Well, ain't that the truth? And then she said to him, if you lost your fortune today, what would you do tomorrow? And
good question, Rona.
Because he lost it many times.
You know what he says?
What?
Maybe I'd run for president.
Well, if you remember, he's been teasing this since Oprah Winfrey 1990.
He's a narcissist.
She also asked him who would play him in the movie of his life. Who do you think he picked to play him?
Probably
Brian Dennehy.
Steve Guttenberg.
It's actually a simple question. It's not himself.
Of course.
Right.
Yes.
When bad time, and then there's another moment when Barbara's interviewing him and says, you know, aren't you overstretched? Which of course he was, and he says, no, it's fine. When bad times come, I'll get whatever I want. And Barbara Walters says, I think tellingly, and when that happens, I bet he will. So I'm not picking on Barbara. She's just one of many enablers in the media.
We can pick on Barbara.
Again, we as a culture kind of embraced the Donald Trump myth. He was in Home Alone,
Right.
like he would show up in pizza commercials.
He was
like
in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, he
He was on
played it.
Days of Our Lives.
And that's the crazy thing. It's like, why do we want him? We don't.
We don't want him.
But I guess because he...
Why do we have him?
Yeah.
Well,
For some people, he scratches that itch. I don't know. It gives them
in
a
the
voice.
80s, there was, we were obsessed with the rich, with the super rich, and so that was it.
He absolutely had perfect timing in that sense of money, success, fame, glamour, that sort of affluenza that Reagan ushered in.
Sure.
Trump was there to embody it.
And Ivana was there too. She really was a part of it.
Actually, she really was. She ran the Taj Mahal. She
ran the plaza.
And
she had a glamour that sort of came off on him a little bit. She had that 80s look that sort of made him a little less lizard-like.
Her fatal mistake, though, was to outshine him. Apparently, he hated all the furniture she installed at the plaza and went around ripping doors off wardrobes because she basically outshone him. She was more competent than him. She just overstepped. She didn't live sufficiently in the shadow.
Right.
And, we all know what happens to people who try and upstage Trump. There was another fascinating archive moment where he's asked to talk about a movie he really likes. What movie do you think that might be?
Citizen Kane.
Yes, it's Citizen Kane, of
course.
And he says this thing that's
He's
really...
never seen Citizen Kane. He doesn't know what it means.
That's exactly, James, because he's talking about why the movie is significant, and he talks about acquisition and how it has a deadening impact, and Orson Welles is on one end of a table, and what's the name is on the other end of a table, and the wealthier he becomes, the longer the table that they're eating at that separates them.
Yes.
Obviously, Trump didn't say any of that. It was written for him.
Yeah.
And then so someone says, so what's the solution? And he says, find a different woman. It's easy. Okay, we have to take a quick break. You can watch Trump, An American Dream. I think it's more like An American Nightmare. I feel just...
I was going to say, does
so
this make you
angry
feel bad
and-
at the end, or do you feel like you have some new revelation?
No, I mean, I don't want to give the end away.
Go ahead.
Gotta know how it ends, right? But the final quote, he's coming down that fucking escalator at Trump Tower, and he says, the world laughs at us. They won't be laughing if I'm president.
And yet, here we are still giggling.
Are we giggling?
I am.
I don't think we're laughing.
I don't know.
I couldn't bring myself to ask, we got to take a quick break. I couldn't bring myself to ask a Donald Trump trivia question. So I wanted to go back to last week's show, I think it was, James. Do blue whales fart? Remember, James, you were asking, you were writing, telling us about a book. Does it fart?
Does it fart? Yeah.
Yeah, and so the question is, do blue
Flatulence
whales
in the
fart?
animal kingdom. Yeah.
You are listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy Sirius XM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Oh, do you want to know what's in the box? Oh, girl, I got the World of Drag, baby, and I think you should get it too, because you're gonna get some merchandise from all over the world and get it delivered to your home 4 times a year. 4 times a year, that's once every season, girl. Think about it, it's worth it. Bob and Sasha got stuff in here, and I don't. Yet. I don't wanna know what's in the box. Let me shake it and feel it. It sounds dangerous. Never Never mind, I think it sounds fun. I think there's a drag queen in there.
Not today, Satan.
What's in here? Sign up now and get yourself a subscription down below now. And go to worldofdrag.com now.
Hey, welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton Bailey here with Tom Campbell, James St. James, and Chelsea.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi,
Blake will be back.
Chelsea.
Blake will be back.
Yes. So, before the break, I went full nostalgia mode and talked about James, that book, Does It Fart, right?
Yeah.
And so the question for the break was, do blue whales fart?
I think it's interesting. It's a distinction that it's a blue whale, so I feel a little thrown off that way. I think it's a mammal. I fart. I'm a mammal. I'm going to say, yeah, the blue whale does fart.
Oh, I'm going to say they fart massively, and you had better watch out. I think they blow ships over, and I think that...
That's exactly right, James. I mean, you're both right. They do fart. But the reason I even asked the question is because I was scrolling on the Instagram this morning, and Boing Boing had this post where they said that a blue whale fart is so big.
How big is it?
You can fit a horse inside it. So now
You mean like a bubble, like the bubble that comes out?
Yes,
you can
the
fit a
fart
horse
bubble
in
is so big you can fit a horse in it.
Well, that's fascinating.
Blow me down. All right, so we're counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow, and we've reached number 7.
Number 7.
I did something I've never done before on Saturday night.
Oh, my goodness.
I saw Beauty and the Beast, the animated movie.
What? You've never seen Beauty and the Beast?
That's so
Never
weird.
saw
I saw
it.
it too.
Was
You
it
at the
on?
bowl?
No, I saw it on the streaming platforms.
Okay,
no
okay,
one
okay.
wanted to watch it.
Had you seen it before?
I drifted in and out. Yeah,
Never seen it.
It's
good.
fun. It's beautiful. It's wonderful.
It's beautiful. It's
It's better than the live action, right?
a little.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't see the live act. I didn't know the story. It turns out
Wait,
there's
you-
this beautiful girl named Belle, and she gets abducted, basically, by a beast, which is very not Me Too. But I'm gonna overlook all that, and they fall in love. I of course know the Celine Dion song, and
But then it's the same sort of thing where every time the little vitality goes from the rose every time.
Yes.
It's that same story.
Yes,
Yeah.
tale as old as time.
A tale as old as
Song
time.
as old as rhyme. I saw it in a spectacular way.
Angela Lansbury is the teapot.
Yes,
Teapot, yeah.
but I saw it at the Hollywood Bowl, where
with an orchestra.
it was a concert, it was an orchestra, and they showed the film. So they'd show the film, they'd stop for the song and be, ladies and gentlemen, Zoe Deschanel. Now, so Zoe played Belle, and she was great. The thing was Friday and Saturday, and some mean gay person had said she's not very good. She was wonderful and beguiling. Kelsey Grammer played the Lumiere.
Yeah,
He popped up.
that sounds a good one.
Jane Krakowski was Mrs. Potts.
love Jane
and if there's
Krakowski.
anybody who could slightly fill the shoes of Angela Lansbury, Jane Krakowski did it beautifully. Tate Diggs was Gaston, but the whole night was kind of stolen by a performer who sometimes hits it bullseye and sometimes doesn't. Rebel Wilson stole the mother-tucking show.
Really?
She was LeFou, the Gaston's idiot sidekick.
Right, sure. The one who
So
was gay in the new one.
and
yeah.
and she played him a little gay, and she is meant to be on the stage. She should not be in movies.
Is that where her niche is? Yes.
She had that 17,000 people at the bowl, and you know there's this. It's all staged on the bowl stage, but they did this wonderful thing during when the townspeople come to like burn the beast's house and all that kind of stuff. They positioned them in the middle of the Hollywood Bowl, and they shot them, and so they were like 10 feet from us, and they were just hamming it up and having the best time, and everyone went crazy. So that was amazing. And then,
was it like a sing along where the whole audience?
it wasn't a
is singing?
sing along; it was a concert. I've been to like restagings of like Guys and Dolls there, which is the whole show, the sort of a concert show. This was the movie. Stop, do the song, and you would still be watching the movie, but you're hearing
I
another
think
voice.
they've done that with a couple other things.
Yes,
too.
I went to see something where they played the movie. I
Yes.
just can't remember what the movie was, but it was really good.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then there was a guy named Anthony Evans, who I guess became popular on The Voice, which I don't watch, and he sang a song from the film Something There, which is this beautiful duet with the Beast. and
Oh,
Belle.
it is a good song. That the Beast sang, and it was original for it, and it's
Yes.
beautiful. Yeah.
And then again, speaking of Broadway stars who need to be doing more Broadway shows. There was a song cut from the original animated show that I guess they included in the Broadway show from the chest of drawers. The chest of drawers. And it was an amazing song called Human Again. She was imagining about what it would be to be human again. And it was by Marissa Jarrett Winokur, our friend who is a stage superstar. She's a Tony-winning actress from Hairspray. She blew the house. It was this one boffo performance after another.
Was it sold out?
It was sold out. And then the last couple of things is that the very end, so you have this huge production, this huge movie, you feel so good. Alan Menken comes out, who's the composer who, along with the late lyricist Howard Ashman, had written all the songs for the movie and the thing.
I think there's a documentary about Howard Ashman and how the making of it and how he was on his deathbed as he was writing it.
That personal touch of him sitting at the piano, remembering the late Howard Ashman.
Yeah.
He played.
You cried.
It was beautiful, and he played the Beauty and the Beast, the song on the piano, and then he sang a song for the movie, which I haven't seen, called How Does a Moment Last Forever. It was really beautiful. The only other thing of note was, I'm very skeptical about Disney because I just feel like I'm being sold every single moment.
But they own everything at this point. You forget that they own Marvel.
Yes.
They own Star Wars.
Yes.
I mean, there's nothing that they own.
People who work there call it Mauschwitz.
Yes. But what they did, it also has some of the most creative, Imagineering people on the planet.
Yes.
And what they did to make it all seamless was, the ridge of the Hollywood Bowl, like the face of it, the frame, if you will. They projected 90 minutes of new animation during the movie. So it was kind of like if you imagined if the castle was on the screen, then it was more of the castle in the sky. I mean, it was
so much to look at.
So much to look at, not distracting, beautiful. And I guess that's something they'll probably do annually because I just feel like there was a lot of money spent to keep this tale as old as time fresh and new.
I love Be Our Guest. That's one of my favorite. Be Our Guest.
It was amazing.
That's going to be, I think, the school play, Nolan's school play next year. So,
but it was again, and it's weird to watch a Fable in the post-Me Too era because it does have things that are politically incorrect.
Well,
but
all of them. If you go back, from Cinderella, and every single one of them has something that just doesn't work.
Belle clearly in 1991 was a progressive princess, so to speak, in that she was a reader and she's the one who persuaded the Beast, and so
you have to watch now. You have to watch the live action version.
All right.
And we'll compare and contrast.
We'll do.
Right. Okay, so moving on. James, number 6.
Number 6.
I don't know if you guys know about Archer. Do you watch Archer?
I've seen Archer.
I know it's on FX and it's animated.
It's FX. Yeah, it's on FXX now. It is animated. It's a cartoon. It's one of the smartest written shows on television.
Oh, good.
It's up there with Mr. Robot and Rick and Morty. It's that type of writing that's just like very obscure references, a lot of really sort of sly
Isn't American
humor.
Dad like that?
American Dad has is like that. Roger is one of the characters. This stars Julie Walters from
British actress.
No. Julie Walters from Arrested Development.
Oh, of course.
The mother. Yes.
Jessica Walter.
Jessica Walter? Is that what it is?
Julie Walters is the Brit.
Yes. Okay, let me start.
No.
late.
Go with the mistakes.
Well, no, because this is a long one, and we're gonna have to cut things out. So it stars Jessica Walters from Arrested Development. It also stars Judy Greer, Aisha Tyler, Amber Nash, Steve Parnell. It's a really just top-notch cast,
Star-studded.
right? He is a spy who works at a spy agency that his mother runs, and she's a domineering woman. She's, as you would imagine, he's like a feckless, like James Bond type, but he's bratty and he's sort of but you'll love him, and he's very handsome, very, very handsome. The supporting cast they have all these supporting characters. Unfortunately, what happened is the spy agency was called ISIS, and the first 4 seasons, 2008, 2009, 2010, that wasn't a problem, but then ISIS came to power, and you can't have
ISIS came to power.
Well, no,
not exactly, but anyway.
What do you mean?
Well, they didn't come to power, did they?
Well,
they
that's when we first started hearing about them. It was in like 2000.
Into the public consciousness.
Yes, it seeped into and so you couldn't have. The producers were in a quandary because you can't have them working for ISIS. It just wasn't working.
Right.
So they had to dissolve the agency, and then in season 5, they moved to Los Angeles and they started working at a detective agency. And it was like Charlie's Angels. Angels.
Right.
And then season 6, he fell into a coma and he imagined that he was like in the 1940s and it was all noir. And they kept having to reinvent the show every single year.
That's fun.
And so this year, they're on a South Sea island during World War I, and she runs a hotel. The mother runs a hotel, and it's also a brothel. And he's running running drugs on a plane. And it's all the same characters, and they're all the same people, but they just keep reimagining them in different time zones.
So they do jump in time.
But without explanation.
Without explanation.
It's like, is that magical realism?
It is sort of a little bit, yeah.
I love when you use it in a sentence, Fenton.
I'm not ignorant. But there's this one joke that I want to explain, and this is sort of complicated, but I think you're really going to get off on this. And I think you're going to get off on
pointing to Fenton.
But I think you're going to get off on it too.
Okay.
So at one point, there's the prostitute, and she's sitting on a piano, and there's a bunch of German soldiers around her, and they're all singing, "It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to home," which is a song that the soldiers sang in World War I as they were coming back home again, right?
Yep.
And Julie Walters is there, and the French police officer, Jessica Walters is there. The police officer walks in and says, "What is the meaning of this?" And Julie Walters says, "Well, as far as I can tell, it's about an Irishman learning about cunnilingus." Well, I had to do a deep dive into this, and apparently the song, "It's a Long Way to Tipperary," is about the young Irishman going over to France. They're 16, 17, 18 years old.
Yes.
They have sex with the Parisian prostitutes, and the Parisian prostitutes teach them about cunnilingus. So when they come back, they
come back to Tipperary.
And it's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to an orgasm.
Okay.
But also, there's a bawdy version that they would sing in the taverns, and it was, "It's the wrong way to tickle Mary, it's the wrong way to kiss." And so when they went back, they taught their girlfriends about what cunnilingus was, and that's the kind of joke that's on this show, where you have to really be at your top game.
Hold up.
Yeah.
So in a show that is packed with jokes and references, like every 3 seconds.
Every 3 seconds.
You heard Tipperary and cunnilingus. And you stopped.
I paused.
You paused. You got on the internet.
I did a deep dive.
And you did a deep dive
to discover the song that Mary Tyler Moore sings
in the last episode of
is about cunnilingus.
Okay. If you could take these powers that you have and somehow funnel them, we could find world peace. We could end world hunger. Do you know what I'm saying?
Just have a hit book one time, possibly, please.
The final episode of the penultimate season of Archer will air June 13th. What network? What's it on?
It's on FXX.
On FX.
XXX.
FXX. There's FX and FXX.
I have this new respect for James. I want to just fangirl you this rest of the show.
Thank you.
So smart.
Well, okay. So,
sorry, one more time. Sorry.
Anytime I speak, it's okay.
No, I'm so sorry.
Dead air.
So, number 5.
Number 5.
I watched, spent the holiday weekend binging on Netflix. It put me in a foul mood. And so, having watched Donald Trump, American Dream, I then watched Evil Genius, which is a 4-part documentary series. Do you remember back in I had no idea this was so long ago, but back in 2003, 15 years ago, man walks into a bank and says, "This is a stick-up."
Yes!
The difference is, he says he has a bomb around his neck.
I remember this.
He's a pizza delivery man.
Yes.
He has a bomb strapped around his neck. He goes into a bank in Erie, Pennsylvania,
and he has to rob he has to rob the bank because he says that somebody has put a bomb around him.
Right.
And that he's being forced to do it.
Yes.
On the way out, he picks one of those free lollipops up from the candy thing and is immediately arrested by the police. And he says to the police, "I have a bomb around my neck." So instead of taking him in, the police sit him down on the sidewalk and create a perimeter.
Yeah.
And he says that he's supposed to follow a set of instructions. In order to deactivate the bomb and remove the collar, he's got to go from here to there and and he's like, "Why aren't you letting me do this? You've got to do this or the bomb is going to go off." And of course, you don't know.
You think that
the weird thing is he's sucking this lollipop. Lollipop, right?
Sure.
Yeah. He's sucking on this lollipop. Well, spoiler alert,
the bomb goes off.
And he's dead. And in fact, in another gruesome twist, to actually remove the collar, they had to saw his head off. So this is a grotesque bank robber story. Now, the weird thing is, he went in asking for $250,000. He got something like $8,000. Like I say, didn't get very far. Yeah. And then, as the police started to investigate, the sequence of events that he had to follow, it turned out to be a wild sort of goose chase treasure hunt. And in point of fact, he never could have completed the task in time before the bomb went off. It's one of these crazy, it's very Saw-like, you know?
Yeah, so what do they go then back and do a deep dive into figuring out what was going on? And did they ever figure it out?
Well, they sort of did. And that's what Evil Genius is about. Evil Genius, in fact, is this woman whose name is Marjorie Deal. And the surprises keep coming thick and fast because having almost like in the wake of the bomb, this guy calls up the police and says, I'd just like to report that my roommate has a dead body in a freezer in the garage. Police go around and yes, there is a dead body in the freezer in the garage. And this is Marjorie Deal shot her ex-boyfriend, made this other guy put him in the deep freezer. And what gradually emerges over the hours is that she has almost weird control over 4 or 5 men who hatch this crazy plot to rob this bank with this bomb device. It's a fascinating story.
And so they've caught her, and so it's all, because I don't ever remember
She's dead now. They catch her and put her in prison. They arrest her for the murder of her ex-boyfriend, the body in the freezer. But in the course of that, it all begins to
She made the bomb?
out. She didn't make the bomb. The person who called the police and said there's a body in the freezer, my roommate, he made the bomb.
For her.
Yes, well, for all of them, it was a group thing, and even the guy with the bomb around him, he was supposedly in on it. It's a twisted, fascinating tale. The only thing I will say is that there's lots of unanswered questions, and there's a great article on Thrillist, which we'll post a link to, Thrillist.com, which sort of talks about these questions. But one of the things is that that's the thing about these series. In point of fact, Marjorie in prison confessed absolutely everything to a fellow inmate. The fellow inmate wrote it all down, gave it to the prison guards, and said, give this to the police. And they never did. They never did. They just stuffed it in a drawer. So the weird sadness of this whole thing is the truth about what happened was actually hiding this thing of hiding in plain sight. Yeah. It's a really sickening story, but I do recommend it.
Now I know why you felt a little sick after watching those 2 documentaries on Netflix this weekend.
I am feeling a little dark. And the weird detail that sticks with me is that the pizza parlor where the guy worked, and he had a friend who also worked at the pizza parlor.
Hillary Clinton was running a sex ring out of it.
Immediately died of a drug overdose. So the whole thing is, anyway, it was called Mamma Mia Pizza. I don't know why that
sounds delicious.
Amuses me. So we have to take a quick break. Pizza question. Okay. You know, we all get pizza delivered, right?
Occasionally at night.
So what is the longest, I don't know how to phrase this, but what's the longest pizza delivery? I don't mean in terms of amount of pizza. I mean the furthest a pizza has been delivered. Yes, that's my question.
Okay.
What is the furthest pizza delivery known to man?
Okay. Listening
to the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
Listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
In a world on the brink of chaos, where fear is the rule of the land,
we will build the wall.
The voices of a generation have banded together. Bianca Del Rio, Adore Delvado, Valentina, Latrice Royale, and Detox, with the supermodel of the world, RuPaul, to give our planet what it needs. Baby drag queens.
Field trip! Yes, set phasers to stunning.
Ooh, snap.
Oh, maybe you're just not cut out to be a real queen.
Because reading is what?
Fundamental. What day are you supposed to be, cornball?
I'm a Doris Day.
That's not even... Ugh.
Flip
glitter powers activate! My best friends in the entire world made this dress for me out of love and kindness and sisterhood. It's priceless and it's not for sale.
I'll give you $10,000.
Sold.
Yeah!
I'm still offended.
But give me a taco.
Crunch, 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 crunch.
Welcome back to the Wow Report on Radio Andy. I'm Fenton. I'm here with Tom and James and Chelsea. And before the break, we asked the question about pizza. The longest. What is the best way to phrase this question?
What is the longest distance a pizza has traveled with a pizza delivery man?
Has been delivered.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Could you answer the question?
Well, I remember last year Adele had done a concert and she wanted her pizza from her hometown delivered to her, and she was like in France or something.
Okay.
And she had a pizza from like Sheffield in England delivered to her.
My mind goes to outer space.
Oh.
And I'm wondering if a pizza was delivered to the space station.
Oh.
Well, you are wondering, and you would be exactly right. In 2001, Pizza Hut delivered a pizza to the International Space Station.
That. Yeah.
What kind of pizza was it?
Cold.
It was a 6-inch salami pizza.
Ooh.
James.
Ew, yeah.
Bigger than you think.
Number 4, counting down the top 10 things that make us go,
Wow.
Number 4.
Tom.
Michelle Wolf juggernauted, is that a word, to
Yes.
international fame after doing the White House press corps dinner.
Right.
She got a lot of heat. We praised her highly. She spoke truth to power. She was this relentless rat-a-tat-tat, taking everybody down, the Republicans, Democrats. And we announced at that time, just a few weeks ago, that she had a new Netflix series premiering.
Oh, wait, I do want to say that the big thing that she got in trouble for was the joke about Sarah Sanders and the eyeshadow. And it wasn't that big of a joke.
It was a great joke.
Yeah, but
she
it was
burns facts and used the ashes to create a smoky eye effect. What is that?
Why would you be that
Isn't
upset about it?
shaming.
Exactly. It's very strange.
100%.
All right.
So she has her show.
We agree.
We saw the first episode. You didn't sneak that into your queue on Netflix.
I didn't, because I was winding myself into a bit of frenzy.
I watched it for the first time last night. I've been a little bit tired. I still am a huge Michelle Wolf fan. She doubles down on the Sarah Sanders shade in a way that's really
It's
smart,
that fresh.
and really fabulous.
It's-
Yes,
yeah.
but it's going to be a weekly show. And here's my thing, which is. First show, lots of room for growth. A weekly talk show is hard, because
Ask John Oliver.
you have to grow a weekly talk show. There are not a lot of women. It's Samantha Bee, and that's it. So great that there's another woman out there. There are a lot. I mean, just for me, this is that whole proliferation of television in general. Do I need another political show? I have Samantha Bee. I've got Seth Meyers. I've got the Daily Show. I can't keep up.
There is Chelsea Handler as well.
And Chelsea Handler, thank you, who's going away on Netflix. But they have the show. It feels, I'm also, and Chelsea is the youngest person in the room, but I still have, like Joel McHale's new The Soup, whatever it's called, or the Joel McHale show, when I make myself watch it, I enjoy it, but I'm not in the
There's
habit.
very little must-see TV at this point as far as talk shows go.
And just the whole Netflix of it all, because they are trying to tick every box of every genre, and good for them.
Yeah.
Good on them. And
The
throw
David
stuff
Letterman
against the
one is
wall.
interesting, and there's also been the one that we both enjoyed, the 30 Rock guy plays Donald Trump on Saturday Night Live. Alec Baldwin.
Oh yes. That's ABC. So it's an uneven show, and
Are you going to stick with it?
I'm going to try, because I support her and I support her point of view. It feels a little bit like the funniest thing they actually do is, you're used to these shows having commercials. I know it sounds weird, but you're used to having a reset. So she's actually created fake commercials, which are kind of the funniest part about it, and different kind of Alexas that like you feed them meat, and then Alexas that give you lunch meat. I mean, just very out there humor. She had one of her co-writers because she comes from from the Seth Meyers show. That's one of her background. And so she has one of her writers from there whose name I'm not going to pull up in time. And they sat and talked, and they did a it's a fresh point of view because they're talking about, what's it like when you tell people as a woman you don't want to have a baby, and they're all like, people are like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And so they sort of debunk the whole issue, the whole idea of women having babies. So it's a fresh point of view. She is. She plays up to it, but she's like, "This is my real voice." It's a lot to listen to. I can't help but think I hope they have some fun innovating or bringing in not co-hosts, but I feel like it needs.
Does it breathe? Because I thought she's so brilliant. The press call.
Yeah.
It was such a incredibly polished, rat-a-tat-tat performance. And yet, sometimes in a talk show, I just want to like we do here. It's like, yeah.
It
just
needs to breathe, and it sort of
take.
meanders a bit. And
it goes off piece.
I just want to say, too, that Sarah Silverman is somebody who also doesn't have a format, and she doesn't have the commercials, and it sort of works for her.
Sarah's is a little more successul to me. Michelle's still finding her footing. I mean, she starts off doing stand-up, a monologue, then they do a fake commercial, then she's sitting at a desk, they go to some tape pieces. So there is a format. Then they go to a fake commercial. She comes back and she sits on a couch and she brings a guest. And at the very end, she was like on the set's very beautiful because Netflix has nothing but money. But she's on a ladder, like a home library. Like the bookshelves are up high, and she says goodbye from there. So I mean,
is it a half hour or an hour?
It's a half hour. But I guess I was expecting that dense rat-a-tat-tat, rat-a-tat-tat, and it was a little bit, finding its footing. But let's support her.
The Break with Michelle Wolf, streaming on Netflix.
Yeah, check it out. Make up your own opinion, but that's my report.
Number 3, Jane.
Number 3.
Well, I feel really bad about number 3 because I have a feeling that you just covered this like 2 weeks ago, and I'm coming back and doing it again.
No, it was years ago, darling.
Was it years ago? I wanted to talk a little bit about how cockroach milk could someday become the superfood that we're all going to be drinking and eating. What? Now everyone's looking at me like...
we're excited about cockroach milk. Did you bring some?
I didn't. But they haven't really made it yet.
I want a cockroach milk latte.
Is it the milk from the teats of cockroaches, or is it turning cockroaches into milk like almonds?
How do you milk a cockroach is the big question. Do you milk their
carefully?
Yeah. Well, it turns out that the Pacific beetle cockroach, which is the one in question, is viviparous, which means that it doesn't lay eggs. Okay. It gives birth to these whole cockroaches.
Just splits off from itself.
Yes. A few years ago, while studying these insects, scientists discovered that the embryo that grows inside the female cockroach's body, she feeds them this pale yellow milk. From her brood sac. And then once they started,
so sick.
So many words.
I know. Once they the brood sac. Yeah.
What did you say? Vitiperative?
Viviparous. There's ovoviviparous and there's viviparous.
Okay.
Sure.
And I know this. I remember it from biology class. But anyway, cockroach milk has the most energy content of any milk on the planet, more so than buffalo milk, which we thought was the shining example.
I'm always talking about buffalo milk.
Yes, exactly.
It's yellow, though. Why is it got to be yellow?
Well, here we go. After cutting open an embryonic beetle roach, researchers observed that the liquid concentrated in their guts is in the form of a crystal that shimmers like glitter. Okay, they examined these crystals, performing various tests and genoming sequence, and concluded that it was a complete food, that it had everything you need: protein, essential amino acids, lipids, sugars, everything. And that these little tiny beetles, these little tiny roaches, grow faster than any other animal on the planet.
That we know.
Yes, So...
Right? Cockroaches are everywhere.
I agree.
Cockroaches and share.
I'm just in shock.
So when it comes to cockroach milking, which basically requires embryos in the brood sac to filter paper and collecting and blah, blah, blah. But it takes 1,000 cockroaches to harvest 100 grams of milk. So it really isn't that...
Are the cockroaches harmed in the milking process?
Yes, you kill them. Yeah, I think you kill them. Theoretically, though...
This is some sort of horror show.
No, but
Magical realism run amok.
But theoretically, you could pour this rich liquid in coffee, over cereal, or even use it to make ice cream. But the problem with it is that it does...
I'm sorry, I'm feeling physically
How
sick.
does it taste is the big question. And scientists have been doing little sips, and they say that it really doesn't have much of a taste. So it's up to us to put taste in it like tofu. right?
Oh, good. Tofu flavored cockroach milk.
Yes. But it is the superfood of the future, and we are all going to have to get over the fact that you're disgusted by
All
it.
joking aside, it's genius because cockroaches are going to be the last thing on Earth.
And there's
we'll always have a perfect food.
And there's 100 billion, trillion, gazillion of them, so we'll never run out
Mark
of it.
my words, a few hundred years from now, there's going to be a cockroach shortage. They're going to be hunted to extinction, like the buffalo.
Well, that would be, yeah, okay.
Poor cockroaches. I think that's something sick and twisted and sad about that.
The poor cockroaches that we thought were going to be around forever, and we're going to do what we do to every other species on the planet, and we're just going to wipe them out.
Wow, it goes there today. We're going there today.
Number
It's
two.
the rain. It's the rain.
Number 2.
So my binge weekend ended on a very dark note. I watched.
Started on a dark note.
Gets darker.
Middle and then it gets darker, and then it ends on a
I
dark.
tell you, I watched. It wasn't on Netflix. I expect it will be at some point, or maybe PBS or something. You know what you have to do? You have to get yourself a VPN, which is some sort of what is a VPN? It's like a
visible panty noodle.
It makes your computer think you're in another country.
Exactly. Get a VPN, pretend you're in the UK, log on to the BBC iPlayer, and watch A Very British Scandal. Now, talk about repeating. I talked about this.
Wait, did you have a VPN?
I did get it. You can just download them. They're easy. Oh. Yeah, I had to get it when I went to China because you can't check Facebook or anything if you're in China because it's banned there. So, Very British Scandal, talked about it a while ago when the book came out. John Preston wrote this book. This is a true story. It's a political scandal in the 70s about Jeremy Thorpe, who almost became the British Prime Minister. And the situation in which he almost became the British Prime Minister was that, as we have now, we have deadlock between the two-party system, Democrats, Republicans. In Britain, it was Conservatives and Labour. And suddenly, out of this sort of political quagmire emerges this brilliant, dashing, dandy highwayman, Jeremy Thorpe, leader of the Liberal Party, which was the third party. And he suddenly just took the country by storm and came within an ace of becoming Prime Minister.
But he had a boyfriend.
But
he had a bomb around his neck. No, I'm confused.
In a way, he did. He was gay. And he was gay at a time, not only when it was a scandal, but it was actually illegal.
Wow.
You could be thrown in jail for being a bugger. And he had this affair, the most perhaps ill-advised affair you could ever have, with this sort of somewhat unhinged. He was very a rent boy. He was a model. He was a stable boy. He was a pansexual poofter. He was a hairdresser. I mean,
a pansexual poofter
sounds like everything I need.
But not the kind of person, if you're a rising political figure, to have an affair with. I mean, he was basically this sort of unguided missile of weaponized victimization. I made it up. I think that's quite good. Yes. He just, and once you tangled with Norman Scott, I mean, the details of their sex life, which came out in the papers, and it was scandalous at the time. You have details about putting down a towel on the bed and biting the pillow and calling him Bunny. I mean, just sort of
call me Bunny.
Bunny, hey Bunny.
Hey Bunny.
But this is at the time, this scandal.
Bite the pillow, Bunny.
Thank you, James. I think that's exactly what happened. And to make it worse, they were doing it in his mother's house, Jeremy Thorpe's mother's house. Her mother was right next door. That's why he had to bite the pillow, so there were no screams or yelps. But this was all in a time when,
is
gays,
this the 70s?
It's the 70s. Okay. When gays, because even Quentin Crisp, gays were seen as sort of maybe exotic but dangerous and
yet you always talk about the poofters on British TV and how that you have a great acceptance for them, and yet it's sort of a double standard.
Totally double standard. Yes, I mean it's sort of exotic freaks.
As long as they aren't sexual,
as long as they're entertaining, it's like sort of poodles or something.
Yeah, exactly. As long as we don't get to know the ins and outs of what's really going on.
And this series is fantastic. It's directed by Stephen Frears, My Beautiful Laundrette, Philomena, Prick Up Your Ears. So he's done all the big gay things.
Oscar Wilde, yeah.
Hugh Grant plays Jeremy Thorpe. Fantastic. Ben Whishaw.
I
thought you would. I thought you would.
He was going to be Doctor Who for a minute. They were going to have a gay Doctor Who.
I think he's too intense. Yes, he's such an intense actor.
Oh, he's so handsome.
He plays Jeremy Scott. I mean, it is a fantastic. And
so it's not a documentary. This is actually
it's a drama.
It took me a minute.
It's written by Russell T. Davis. who wrote Queer as Folk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's this sort of, great national treasures, darling.
Well, I hope it does
And,
end up on Netflix soon.
Yes. I mean,
I do know that Netflix has acquired a whole cache of queer dramas and everything, and they're making that part of their
portfolio.
Yeah, they're trying to up their LGBT viewing.
Well, okay. It's very dark, and I suppose I had some ambivalence about wallowing in the sort of Jacobean nastiness of the whole thing, because where's the I do feel that probably Jeremy loved Norman. And it just doesn't. It's just so nasty. Oh, because I didn't get to the point where Jeremy Scott decides to have Norman Scott killed. Oh. And the whole thing culminates, talk about burying the headline, whole thing culminates in this assassination scene on Dartmoor, which is a sort of barren part of England, where all they manage to do, the assassins, is shoot the Great Dane. And the Great Dane is shot and killed. And Norman Scott runs off into the night and escapes. Whole story comes out, scandal, disgrace, blah, blah, blah. End of Jeremy Thorpe's career.
Who is the guy who had the rent boy who died in his house, and that was a huge scandal?
Yes, TV presenter.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting his name. We have to take a quick break. I have a question, actually, a little teaser question.
Oh, wow.
Okay, little teaser. Who was the first African American in Star Wars?
Okay.
Listen to our report on Radio Andy Sirius XM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
God, I'm so cold. I wish I had a hot beverage to drink. Like a latte. Oh, thank you. How much was this latte?
It's $3.99.
How convenient! That's the same price as a WOW Presents Plus subscription every month.
What is WOW Presents Plus?
Bitch, you get all the content on there. Girl, all the drag queens for $3.99. Bitch, you get the full juice.
$3.99 a day?
No, $3.99 a month.
You can have access to all exclusive content.
Ad-free.
Ad-free.
So support WOW Presents, support the gay content, and spend $3.99, the price of a latte for my boyfriend.
A month. And here's the real trick. It's not coffee.
What is it?
It's gayness.
Don't know what to get the WOW fan in your life? Get them this. A subscription to WOW Presents Plus. It's only $3.99 a month.
And make sure you're not latte to the party. Am I right? Is this almond milk?
No.
Oh God, I'm gonna shit myself.
Welcome back to the WOW Report on Radio Andy Sirius XM. We've been counting down the top 10 things that make us go
wow.
I'm here with James and Tom and Chelsea, and we've reached. Oh well, before we reveal number one, let's reveal number one.
No. I have an answer. I think I know.
Oh, okay.
I think this is a trick question.
Let's restate the question.
Restate the question.
Oh, yes, that's what we should do. Who was the first African American on Star Wars?
Well, you think that it's going to be Billy D. Williams, who played Landau Calrissian.
Very handsome, charismatic.
Very handsome.
Billy
But
D. Williams.
it's probably James Earl Jones, who was the voice of Darth Vader.
Ooh, you clever.
Right?
Because I thought I was going to say it's Billy D. Williams, but
yeah. No.
I'm going to say it's Carrie Fisher. Because I don't see color.
And the reason why did we have that question? Because the number one thing that made us go wow this week is
number one.
James
Solo.
Yes.
Solo cups?
Han Solo, the movie.
Who saw it?
Well,
Chelsea saw it.
Chelsea, what do you think?
I loved it. I thought it was a really good origin story.
I loved it. I think it's my favorite Star Wars movie. Oh, it's being savaged by. Is it savaged by the critics? No, it's just a box office flop, right? Because it's only pulled in 150 million.
Yes, only 165 million. It's really bringing me down.
And it cost $500 million because they had to fire the directors, and then they had to shoot the movie twice.
Yeah.
So it's
Oopsie.
Well, what I keep seeing is critics being like, there's not enough stakes. There's not enough, things happening.
Right.
And I'm like, well, we know Han doesn't die. We
Right.
know Chewie doesn't die.
Yeah.
We know Lando doesn't die. Like, what are you
what could be the
for?
stakes? Yes.
It's like kind of a happy-ish.
It is happy, but there's such a web of sexual intrigue because
between Chewie and
you got Han Solo and his girlfriend, and I thought that was a fabulous relationship story because he escapes the planet.
And it's Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Right.
Love her, yeah.
Okay, and then, because really, frankly, I mean, Alden Ehrenreich, who plays young Hun, he's great, sexy, fantastic, but so overshadowed by Donald Glover. I mean, he is gorgeous in there.
Everything going on.
So
Donald
sexy.
Glover.
Oh,
but let me just say, Alden Ehrenreich. How do you pronounce his name?
Alden Ehrenreich.
Alden Ehrenreich. If you ever get a chance, see the movie Hail Caesar, which was a Coen Brothers thing with George Clooney.
A period piece.
A period piece set in old Hollywood, and Alden Ehrenreich, that's his first his role, and he plays a cowboy who kicks ass, who like one of those like cowboys who does all the stunts and everything. And if you just go on YouTube and check out the scene from Hail Caesar with him, you will be blown away, and you will absolutely fall in love with him in a way that I don't think you got to see in this. Even though he is charming and beautiful, but he really was. That's why he got the role, was because of this Hail Caesar scene that he did.
I'm going to chime in with my bitter Betty note, which is, I have Star Wars fatigue. I love the first 3 Star Wars. I know that was a while ago. I thought that the prequels were just so awful. They should have been like franchise ending, but everyone forgives. Everyone forgives. My brother is the biggest Star Wars fan on the face of the earth.
But the last 4 have been absolutely amazing.
When they brought back the new version, I saw it. It didn't move me a lot.
So you have serious fatigue. You have fatigue even before the reboot.
A little bit, and I went to the reboot, but and I'm having trouble knowing. I feel like I'm going to be dumb, that I'm not going to know where I am.
Well, that's the great thing about this movie.
Who's
You
alive.
don't need to have seen any of the movies, because this is the first original movie, number 1. And number 2, I think it's clearly the best. I mean, in my mind, it's the most. And let's talk about that relationship between not just what's his name, Lando. Is it Lando?
Yeah.
Lando and Hans is bubbling with sexual tension, but then Lando and
the L3, the robot, steals the movie.
He has an affair.
Yes.
Well, but Donald Glover just recently gave a quote that was really fabulous, saying about how in space you have to be pansexual because you're going to have sex with blobs, you're going to have sex with aliens. There's no male or female binary
very
in
club
space.
kids in space.
That you just have that whatever is out there, you're just going to get with. And that was sort of how he approached the character.
So it's a little more relationship-y?
Yes.
Is it really? The other thing I have, and again, better Betty, I'm in the minority here, but like they're always so dark and dusty.
I didn't think this was dark.
I want the future to be more like the Century City Mall. You know what I mean? Just bright and places to sit.
But if you go back and do Rogue One,
we're going to be drinking cockroach milk.
Rogue One is very dark. Rogue One is dark, but
there's
this
still
is very
that
light.
thing where you don't need to know anything. They all set themselves up as just one-offs, and they introduce new characters, and you just go with it. What was the other one before Rogue One?
I think Rogue One was the first one.
Again, then what was one after that?
Oh, the Star Wars story.
Rogue 2. No, they're very confusing. I can't keep track. A New Beginning, New Stars, it was something like that. That's what they're hard to. Give them car names or something. Call one an Impala, one a Caprice. Help me.
I'm not buying it.
Here's my last thing too, and this sounds a little different because you're talking about pansexuality and all that, but they never have a gay vibe to me. I never see people shirtless. I never see ass crack. I need some man candy.
Okay, it may be queer baiting, but Donald Glover, I tell you, it's the gayest thing I've seen, and I feel they dropped some hints. Like there's a point where Hans' girlfriend is in Donald Glover's cabin.
Yes.
And there's 35 capes. And she says, oh, too many capes. And it's like nudge, nudge, wink, wink, right? And then when Donald Glover says, buckle up, babe, right?
Yeah.
You may want to buckle up, babe.
There's
to
definite undertones.
Hans, I tell you, okay, so he hasn't come out as totally queer and there isn't ass crack.
He's pansexual is what he says.
Oh, thank you, okay. But it's good, yeah. And James and I went to see it together.
C-3PO is gay, obviously. I mean, could there be a gay? C-3PO and R2-D2 are totally
but
gay.
I need man candy. That's how shallow I am.
No, but Hayden Christensen was hot. Mark Hamill was hot. They're hot guys.
Couldn't there be a fashion designer in the future? Couldn't there be someone making a beautiful frock, fixing Princess Leia's hair?
That's why
Let's
see that
take
film.
that to Disney and say,
Let's
listen.
go.
Well, I'll tell you,
but
RuPaul in outer space.
Oh, right.
Space.
Well, I think Star Wars is the new popular kids in high school. They all get to be in the new. That's why Donald Glover's in it, right? Because he's the most happening thing.
And Amelia Clark,
yeah, exactly. And in fact, even Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who plays the robot.
Phoebe Wallingford is in it.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is the creator of Killing Eve.
Oh, Langley.
And Fleabag, which is also on.
And Fleabag.
She's amazing.
I mean, I tell you,
Phoebe Wallingford was also in Citizen Kane.
Yes, she was. She was at the table.
At the table. So that's it all comes around.
Ruth Warwick, the actress.
Anyway, I want to just say go to YouTube and look up Hail Caesar, Alden Emmerich, or whatever like that.
And I just want to say, who's the resistor of the week?
Have we decided?
Yes.
You tell.
I thought I decided.
I missed the meeting.
Reveal it.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yankee fans.
Yes! 100%. I'm from New Hampshire. My brother and sister dress up, go to Red Sox games. The Yankees are evil to us. Evil, evil, evil. And yet, my sister was visiting, and there was that clip that went around when they introduced and wished a happy birthday to Rudy Giuliani. New York Yankee fans gave him a profound boo. And it felt so good. That's the
It was
thing.
his birthday.
Yes.
Did they have any cutaways of him?
Yeah, you see him, and he's just sinking into the ground.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Oh, good.
But that's the crazy thing. New Yorkers hate Donald Trump. They hate Rudy Giuliani. Why? Wake up, America. These people have known them forever.
We've known them for 40 years. Yes,
Let it go.
We know whereof we speak.
Anyway, that's a great resistor. Thank
That's a
you.
great resistor.
Today, I am a Yankee fan. Thank you.
That's all we have time for, but you can continue to enjoy the World of Wonder experience on Wow Presents Plus. We have just loaded up a new episode of Feeling Fruity, which is the amazing Seth Bogart show. It's
Which
fantastic.
also has fake commercials.
Which are the new
It's a
thing.
thing. It's a thing.
Trend alert. New episode of Drag Race Thailand in English, right? What
Yeah.
else we got?
We have Fashion Photo Review coming. Oh, actually, we don't have it this week because there's no.
We have an all-new episode of Transformations that went up today with Imkid.
Oh
Yes.
my God, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and one that went up on YouTube as well with Abora. Yeah.
And of course, Tom, where are we at in RuPaul's Drag Race?
We actually took a week off, so there's a new episode coming up with Lena Dunham and Cheyenne Jackson drops by, and I'm missing someone, which is horrible because I do too much. But it's getting down to the wire. It's really good.
It's coming close.
It's really good.
And I know it's a few months till DragCon in New York, so in the meantime, you can sign up to our quarterly drag box, worldofdrag.com. It's a collection of curated goodies.
It's like DragCon in a box.
You know what it is.
But it is. It's fun. It's people love.
For the price of a latte.
It's a little
That's
bit more.
1% plus. It's a little more than a latte.
For the price of a Sara Lee frozen cake.
For the price of a cockroach milk latte. Thanks for tuning into the Wow Report on Radio Andy Sirius XM. Listen anytime on the Sirius Radio app or watch anytime on the Wow Report.
On YouTube.
On the YouTubes. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow!